Welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. A big change is being instituted in the NFL, a sports league that a lot of Americans care about, and that has also struggled with a diversity problem there when you consider how few head coaches in the league are actually men or women of color. On that front, the league, which has already had the Rooney Rule in place, which requires teams to interview an ethnic minority candidates for head coaching positions, is instituting a new rule that will give teams awards for putting candidates in those positions that are minorities that develop into head coaching and other sports top management roles here. And it's an interesting new strategy, but will it be enough to actually bring about those diversity boosts? Here to discuss that with us is Shalise Manza Young, Yahoo Sports reporter, joins us now. And Shalise, I mean, you kind of got pro-con here because clearly the Rooney Rule hasn't done much to bring about some of these changes the league wants to institute. What do you make of the new change now?
As I wrote earlier this week, it just sort of feels like putting lipstick on a pig. It's 2020 and the NFL just keeps trying to invent new ways to incentivize, diversifying the number of, general managers and head coaches in a league that is over 2/3 men of color in terms of the players. You only right now have 3 Black men as head coaches. You have one man, Ron Rivera in Washington, who is Mexican, Puerto Rican, I believe. And then the general manager right now is even worse. There are only 2 Black men who are like GMs in actual name. And Rivera is sort of the de facto GM in Washington right now. So, the problem is NFL owners. It doesn't matter how many rules or how many boxes they're supposed to check. If they're not committed to hiring the best person for the job, or they're not scared off by the idea that, well, what am I going to have in common with a Black man who's a GM? It's like, that shouldn't matter. At the end of the day, what these owners tell us all the time is they're about winning. And, we've seen Black coaches have success. We've seen some Black coaches fail, but we've obviously seen a lot of white coaches fail. Ask the New York Jets or Jets fans how they're feeling about Adam Gase right about now, their head coach. So, those opportunities at the end of the day, they should be going to the men who deserve them. And, the Rooney Rule doesn't seem like it's made much of an impact in 15, almost 20 years since it's been instituted. And I don't know that, the prize for developing Black men who become GMs and head coaches is necessarily going to help either.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that because we're talking about 3rd round draft picks, right? I mean, how significant is that? How big of an incentive is that for teams that are developing these coaches or future head coaches, people of color?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pro-con thing. At the end of the day, if you're leading an organization, developing your people should be something you do anyway. If you're an NFL team, the better your assistant coaches are, in theory, the better your team is going to be. And the better your front office is, the better you're going to do in terms of drafting and player acquisition and salary cap and those sorts of things. So, incentivizing that it shouldn't be. It should just be that winning and having the best possible team is enough. And the other thing I think you can argue too is if you are, if you're a team, let's say, I'm trying to think, if you have a team, that are you going to hire somebody from a division opponent? And, if you do value those 3rd round draft picks, if you, hire Eric Bieniemy is, somebody who should have been head coach by now. He's the offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. Hopefully he will finally get a head coaching job this year. But if he's hired by another AFC West team, would that happen? Because then the Chiefs are, you're potentially helping the Chiefs, who are already one of the best teams in football, by giving them more draft picks. So the end of the 3rd round, it's not terrible. But I also could see a scenario again where a division opponent might not actually help the Chiefs, even if Eric Bieniemy is the best man for their job.
And I mean, you can make a very good case that he is the best man for the job, considering how that Chiefs offense has looked. But a big question mark still remains on whether or not this is going to boost it, since, you're going to have to give up the talent here to get that 3rd round pick. So it's a big question, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, the Rooney Rule has not done much, as you said, to really change all this. But Shalise Manza Young, Yahoo Sports reporter with us. Appreciate you coming on to chat that.
Thanks, guys.